My name is Sarah, and I'm currently working as a freelance illustrator from home. I've been married to my husband, Alex, for 15 years. We have a son named Jack, who is now in 8th grade. He is in a naughty phase and going through puberty, and my patience is diminishing day by day. Our family currently lives with my in-laws. It was my in-laws' suggestion for us to live together. Alex has 2 sisters. One is married and moved out, while the other stays at home without working, mostly staying in her room. To help out, we agreed to live with his parents, but it has been a significant burden for me. At first, my in-laws were kind, but after about a year, they started ordering me around. They would say, "How long are you going to play?" If I did housework, they would say, "You need to clean more carefully." No matter how many times I told them it was a work-from-home job, they could not understand and often yelled at me for making excuses when I tried to explain. Because of this, I have already given up trying to convince them. Of course, I had asked my husband to explain it. My husband looked at me as if he had no choice, and he once spoke to my in-laws, but they said, "You don't make any money anyway, and that's not work, that's play." My husband didn't say anything more to them. Of course, I'm not just playing around. I've been steadily growing my freelance business, and when Alex and I got married, I was making around $150,000 a year. Now my income has grown to about $100,000 a year, working with many companies. I thought Alex understood this, but I'm not entirely sure what he truly thinks. We've been living like this for 15 years, but I don't intend to endure it forever. Secretly, I've been saving money, and I'm close to reaching my goal. Once I do, I plan to buy a luxury condo for the 3 of us, Alex, Jack, and me. Alex has agreed, so I'm looking forward to this new chapter. Alex, we're almost at our savings goal. I told him while he was on his phone in our bedroom after finishing my chores and work. He glanced at me and replied indifferently, His lack of interest discouraged further conversation, and I sighed deeply. "Do you not want to?" "It's not that. I'm just thinking about what to tell my parents," he muttered while still on his phone. "Yeah, I guess so." We hadn't told his parents about our plan to buy a condo yet, but I did not think that deeply about it. I thought that after purchasing the condominium, without telling anyone and proceeding so that it could no longer be undone, my in-laws would indeed not be able to say anything. And I was right. A few months later, I successfully saved enough money and purchased the luxury condo. The title is in Alex's name. Even though I earn more, working from home can be unpredictable, so we opted for a more stable choice. Of course, it's the same for Alex, but his job is more stable, which is reassuring. Everything went smoothly and moving day was approaching. That's when Alex and I decided to tell my in-laws that we were moving out. Though surprised when we mentioned buying the condo, they didn't complain and accepted it. A few days later, we moved into our new luxury condo, beginning our first life as a family of 3 since getting married. We were able to buy a very spacious place with a total of 5 bedrooms, living room, dining room, and kitchen, 5 LDK, giving us plenty of room. We have our bedroom, a room for our son, and a dedicated workroom for me. I'm able to work comfortably every day, and my productivity has been excellent. I was quite happy, but a few days after moving in, I received a request from a major company I work with to visit their office. The company is quite a distance from the condo where I live now, and I have to take the bullet train to get there. A day trip would be tough, so an overnight stay was necessary. They wanted me to come for about 3 days to discuss ideas and create illustrations based on meetings. Reluctantly, I arranged a fortnight trip, informed Alex, and headed to the company's location. A few days later, the meetings went smoothly, and I returned home the next day, exhausted. I purchased prepared foods and headed home. I arrived around 6:00 p.m., and since it was a holiday, I thought Alex would be there. When I opened the front door, I saw a row of shoes I had never seen before. At first, I thought they might belong to Jack's friends, but they didn't look like something young people would wear. Thinking they might belong to Alex's colleagues, I quietly walked to the living room and opened the door. There, sitting at the dining table, were my in-laws. I was surprised. I approached them and greeted them. They smiled and said, "Oh, welcome back." I was too shocked to respond, unable to comprehend the situation. As I stood there, Alex, who had been watching TV, approached us. I looked at him, expecting an explanation, but he spoke nonchalantly. Apparently, Alex had told his mom about my trip, and she decided to come over immediately after hearing about it. "Leaving your husband and son for a trip. What were you thinking?" Alex's mom said with a stern look, her voice full of disappointment. "No, I wasn't on a trip. I was surprised that they thought I was just traveling, and I hurriedly corrected them, but it was obvious from their expressions that they didn't believe me." "Don't lie. Was that your reason for leaving?" Alex's dad raised his voice angrily, while his mom looked at me with a disdainful expression. "You're not cheating, are you?" Alex's mom sneered, her eyes filled with suspicion. "I'm not cheating. It was work." Frustrated by the false accusation, my voice rose. "You seem nervous, which makes it more suspicious." She laughed and sipped her tea, sighing contentedly. "Is that true?" Alex looked at me with a serious expression, seemingly convinced by his mom. Despite having told Alex about the trip and even sent him photos from the meetings, he seemed to doubt me, which made me angry. "Oh, and we've decided to move in here too." As I glared at Alex, his mom continued with more surprising news. "We think it's necessary to keep an eye on things to prevent any more incidents. We've already put our house up for sale, and we've changed the condo's ownership to Alex's father." As I was struggling to process the new information, my mother-in-law continued with more shocking statements. I was already confused and looked at my husband for help, but he avoided my gaze, looking troubled. What do you mean you changed the ownership? That's not easy to do." My frantic tone seemed to amuse Alex's mom, who smiled and watched me. "It wasn't that hard," she said nonchalantly. Not wanting to talk anymore, my mother-in-law got up and went to the living room where the TV was, leaving me to confront my husband. When I called my husband into the bedroom and demanded that he explain everything, he spoke tediously. Apparently, they fell in love with the condo the day they came to the house and decided to move in that same day. She then asked my husband to change the name because she wanted to give this condo to his younger sister, who had no money and nowhere to go, rather than leaving her with nothing when she was alone. My husband agreed easily, not really understanding the significance of this, and he changed the name to my father-in-law's while I was on a business trip. My in-laws had to pay inheritance tax and gift tax because of the name change, but since they did not have the money, they said they paid it out of our savings. That savings was put aside so that we could have enough money for our son's future expenses. All I could feel was anger toward my husband and in-laws, as if my guts were boiling over, but there was nothing I could do about it now. I had to swallow my frustration. Living with my in-laws and sister-in-law again made me consider divorce, but I hesitated, thinking about my son and whether it was the right choice. So we resumed our life with my in-laws as before. Although my work kept me busy and distracted, a major incident solidified my feelings. About a month after my in-laws and sister-in-law moved in, the company requested another visit. This time, it was a short trip, just one night. Reluctantly, I agreed, despite my in-laws' watchful eyes. As it was part of my job, when I told Alex, he initially suspected I might be having an affair. After showing him the correspondence with the company and promising to send photos and updates, he reluctantly agreed. "All right, I'm off." I called out to my mother-in-law, who was relaxing in the dining room on the day of the event. She did not respond. My father-in-law, who was watching TV, glanced at me but did not react much and just looked at the TV again. Without further words, I left the condo. After completing the meetings, I returned the next afternoon. "Hello, I'm back." I called out to my in-laws in the living room again and went to my workroom to get started on my work. But what should have been a large amount of reference materials turned out to be an empty room. At first, I couldn't think of anything at this sight and could only wonder why everything was gone. Soon I suspected it was my in-laws and went straight to the living room. "Mill, my books and stuff are missing from my workroom. Where did you put them?" "Why are you shouting?" She looked briefly surprised, then returned to her usual expression, sipping tea. "The books and papers from my workroom. They're essential for my work." "Work? You mean those useless drawings? You don't need them," she laughed dismissively, not taking me seriously. "They're very important. Where did you put them?" "Stop being noisy." I threw them away. My mother-in-law looked annoyed and replied in a voice that sounded as if she was about to say it was a hassle because I was ranting next to her. I couldn't respond to her. "We need the room for May. She can't stay with us forever." Apparently, since the move, my sister-in-law had been sharing a room with my in-laws, but her late-night activities tired them out, so they decided to give her my workroom. The room had contained crucial work materials and cherished past illustrations, which were very precious to me. When she told me she threw it away, I silently left the living room and went back to my workroom. I don't know how long I lay there feeling defeated. I didn't feel like doing anything anymore and was lying on the floor when my son came into the room. "Mom, are you okay?" Noticing the darkening room, I finally realized the time. "Oh, sorry, I didn't notice. Welcome back." Jack glanced around the room before looking at me silently. "What's wrong?" I tried to smile, but Jack's serious expression caught me off guard. "Mom, why don't you get a divorce?" I was stunned by his words, never expecting them from him. "I know what Grandma and Grandpa are doing to you. Dad doesn't support you, does he?" My son turned on the light in the darkened workroom and stood in front of me, sitting on the floor. I looked at my son's face in silence, not immediately understanding what he was saying. "If you keep doing this, you'll collapse." After saying that, my son left the room. Soon after, my mother-in-law called me and told me to prepare dinner now, which I did. While cooking, my son's words echoed in my mind. I had stayed in the marriage thinking it was best for my son, but I never expected him to suggest a divorce. It shocked me that he felt compelled to say it. However, it solidified my resolve to divorce Alex. The next day, I went to the city office to get the divorce papers. That evening, when Alex returned home, I presented the divorce papers in front of my in-laws. "What's this?" Alex looked at the papers, seemingly not understanding what they were. "What's going on?" My mother-in-law peeked over and saw the divorce papers. "Oh, divorce papers." She smiled, looking pleased, and asked me, "Wait, hold on, what's happening?" Alex finally realized I was serious about divorcing him and turned to me, startled. "I want a divorce," I said firmly, and Alex's expression turned sour. "Why all of a sudden?" He pounded the table, approaching me angrily. "Oh, it's fine. She's a useless wife who can't do anything anyway." My mother-in-law laughed, speaking to Alex. His anger dissipated as he looked at his mother. "You'll be free without this worthless wife," my mother-in-law continued, nudging her chin toward me. "Yes, she should just leave," my father-in-law added, supporting her. Alex seemed conflicted, but then, as if accepting something, he filled out the divorce papers and handed them to me. "Thank you," I said. I took the papers and went to my son's room. He was at his desk, seemingly doing homework. "Jack, we're leaving," I said, watching his back. Jack stopped writing and turned to me. "Okay," he replied. With that, my son went back to his desk, and I closed the door to his room. We quickly prepared to leave the condo, submitting the divorce papers to the city office within a week. A week after I asked Alex to sign the papers, my son and I moved out of the condo, having already secured a new place. We hired movers to take our belongings, and I went to the living room to say a final goodbye to my in-laws. They didn't acknowledge me. "Thank you for everything," I said, but there was no response. "Good luck with the payments," I added sarcastically, which made my mother-in-law look sharply at me. "What do you mean?" she asked. "The condo payments. Good luck paying the $3,500 monthly." "Are you bitter because you can't afford to live without your high-income husband?" she sneered, mocking me. "No, we'll be fine," I replied, which made her frown and approach me. "What do you mean fine? Are you still pretending?" "The truth is I make more than Alex now. I hadn't told my in-laws this before, but Alex used to be a high-earning elite, earning more than me. However, due to the economic downturn in recent years, his income has plummeted. Moreover, after a personnel reshuffle, he lost his position, leaving him with a lower income than mine. Honestly, with just his salary, paying the mortgage on the condo would be challenging." "What did you say? Are you mocking Alex?" My mother-in-law turned red and approached me angrily. "No, it's the truth. Paying $3,500 a month leaves no money for living expenses." Then how did we manage all this time? My mother-in-law had never acknowledged my work or believed I had any income. She assumed Alex's salary covered all the mortgage and living expenses. Seeing her reaction, I couldn't help but laugh, which only made her angrier. "You'll be living here, right? Please make sure to pay the $3,500 rent each month." After saying this, I bowed to my in-laws, who were sitting stiffly on the sofa, and left the condo. That night, as expected, Alex called. He was panicking about the condo's mortgage. Apparently, he hadn't thought about it until his mom asked him. "Hey, what's this about $3,500? Alex sounded frantic over the phone. "What do you mean? We discussed this when we bought the place," I responded calmly. "Did we? We can't afford that." He seemed to be struggling to remember, but clearly hadn't paid attention. "That's not my problem. Goodbye," I said, and I quickly hung up the call. I immediately blocked calls from Alex and my in-laws. I felt a great sense of relief and satisfaction, thinking they got what they deserved. Later, a friend of mine who also works with Alex told me about what happened afterward. Alex couldn't keep up with the mortgage payments, ended up in debt, and eventually went bankrupt. My in-laws and sister-in-law, who couldn't contribute financially, also went bankrupt. Alex is still working at his company, but he has to support his parents and sister, so he's working extra jobs at night and is visibly worn out. He's even been asking colleagues for loans, which has damaged his reputation. No one wants to be around him anymore, not even his former friends. As for my in-laws, I heard that they had contacted my husband's company to demand that they give him severance pay so that he would quit his job. I knew just by hearing this that their life was very difficult. I guess that's what you get for not knowing anything, for taking the condo, and for making fun of my work. Now I'm living comfortably and happily with my son, focusing on my work.